Admiral Jaewon Park stood at the observation window of Orbital Station Harmony, watching as the alien ships approached Earth for the first diplomatic meeting between humanity and the Vexari Collective. The sleek silver vessels moved with unnatural grace, their hulls reflecting sunlight in patterns that seemed almost deliberate. A display of technological superiority. "Nervous, sir?" asked Lieutenant Sunho, who had served under Jaewon for 7 years. "Cautious," Jaewon replied. His gaze never left the approaching fleet. 20 years of deep space messages, and now they suddenly want to talk face to face. The truth was that humanity had been preparing for this moment for decades. The first intercepted Vexari transmission had triggered a silent but massive military buildup. While Earth's public face showed excitement about peaceful contact with an advanced civilization, its military leaders had quietly constructed weapons that could end worlds. Jaewon's communication device chimed. His daughter Minji was calling from New Busan Colony, where the secondary diplomatic team was stationed. "Dad, they're here." "The secondary Vexari delegation just arrived," Minji said, her face bright with excitement. As a xenobiologist, this was her life's work coming to fruition. Their biology is fascinating. They communicate through both sound and color shifts in their skin. "Remember the protocols," Jaewon cautioned. "No unauthorized information sharing." Minji rolled her eyes. "I know, Dad. This isn't my first diplomatic mission. But it is our first alien one," he replied with a small smile. "I'll call you after the main delegation meeting concludes." The call ended, and Jaewon returned to the station's main conference room where Earth's representatives waited. The air felt electric with anticipation as the airlock cycled and the Vexari ambassadors entered. Tall, slender beings with iridescent skin that shifted between blues and purples. The meeting proceeded smoothly at first. The Vexari spoke perfect English, explaining they had studied human languages for years. They discussed trade possibilities, cultural exchange programs, and shared scientific research. Then Jaewon's device began blaring an emergency alert. "Sir, we're receiving distress signals from New Busan Colony," Sunho reported, his face pale. "They're under attack." The room froze. The lead Vexari ambassador's skin turned a deep, alarmed purple. "This is not our doing," it insisted as Jaewon rushed to the command center. The tactical display showed 5 unknown vessels, not the diplomatic ships, firing on the defenseless colony. New Busan's minimal defenses were already overwhelmed. The colony's biodomes were breaking apart, exposing thousands of people to the harsh environment. "Get me a direct line to Minji," Jaewon ordered, fighting to keep his voice steady. When the connection finally went through, the image showed chaos. Minji was helping evacuate civilians into emergency shelters. "Dad, they just started firing without warning," she shouted over the sound of alarms. "The delegation ship launched fighters as soon as they docked. This was planned." The transmission cut as something exploded behind her. The screen went dark. "Minji!" Jaewon called, but there was no response. For 3 hours, Jaewon and Earth's military leaders watched helplessly as New Busan Colony was systematically destroyed. Earth's nearest military vessels were days away. When it was over, the colony's life support systems had failed completely. 10,000 people, including Minji, were gone. The Vexari ambassadors claimed ignorance, insisting it was the work of a rogue faction. But when their ships departed, encrypted transmissions between them revealed the truth. The attack had been planned to test human military response times and capabilities. They had not expected humans to intercept and decode these messages. 7 days later, the United Defense Council convened in their underground chamber beneath the Himalayas. Jaewon sat silently as the evidence was presented. "The Vexari Collective has been monitoring us for decades," explained General Hana. "They determined we were technologically inferior and defenseless. The attack was a test to confirm their assessment. Then, they made a grave miscalculation," said President Kiwoo. "Admiral Park, it's time to reveal what we've been building." Jaewon nodded slowly. "The Dreadnought fleet is ready." On the massive screen, classified footage played showing 7 enormous vessels hidden in the outer solar system. Each Dreadnought was the size of a small moon, armed with weapons that could destroy planets. Humanity built these in secret over 30 years, ever since we first detected alien signals, J1 explained. We hoped never to use them. The council voted unanimously. The Dreadnoughts would be activated. As J1 was given command of the flagship Thunder, he looked at the photo of Minji on his personal device. They thought us weak and unprepared, he whispered. They will learn how wrong they were. Earth changed overnight. Factories that once made cars now built spacecraft components. Schools closed so children could say goodbye to parents joining. The military. The planet united under one purpose, preparing for war. Fleet Commander Hana Kim walked quickly through the underground complex beneath Seoul. Guards saluted as she passed. She had not slept in 3 days, but her movements remained sharp and focused. As head of the Dreadnought program, she carried the weight of humanity's response on her shoulders. The Vexari representatives have arrived, her assistant informed her. They're waiting in the diplomatic chamber. Hana nodded. Let's not keep them waiting. The chamber was designed to intimidate, a circular room with the visitors seated at the center, while human officials looked down from elevated platforms. The 3 Vexari diplomats sat uncomfortably, their skin shifting between nervous shades of green and amber. We come with deep regrets about the new Busan tragedy, the lead diplomat began, its translated voice filling the chamber. The ships that attacked were a radical faction, acting against our leadership's wishes. Hana let the words hang in the air before responding. We intercepted your communications after the attack. You called it a successful first strike. The Vexari's skin darkened with surprise. They had not expected humans to decode their transmissions. There has been a misunderstanding, one began. No more lies, Hana interrupted. Your attack killed 10,000 humans. You believed us weak and unprepared. She pressed a button, and the wall behind her transformed into a viewing screen. You were wrong. The screen showed a massive shipyard, orbiting Jupiter, hidden from Earth's view. 7 enormous vessels filled the display, each larger than Earth's moon. Construction drones swarmed around them, applying final armor plating and weapon systems. The Dreadnought fleet, Hana explained calmly. We began building them 30 years ago when we first detected your signals. While you watched us thinking, us blind, we prepared. The Vexari diplomats stared in shock, their skin paling to a sickly white. Impossible, one whispered. Your technology level indicates you are centuries from such achievements. We wanted you to think that, Hana replied. Here are our terms. Unconditional surrender of all Vexari forces, or we will use these ships to ensure the Vexari collective is removed from the galaxy permanently. The lead diplomat stood, suddenly angry. You would threaten our entire species. Over one colony? We are spread across 17 star systems. We have dominated this region for millennia. Other species bow to us. Then gather your forces, Hana said quietly. You'll need them all. After the Vexari left, President Kiwoo joined Hana on the observation platform. They won't surrender, he noted. No, they'll gather their fleet instead, Hana agreed. But they're frightened now. They've realized they miscalculated badly. Later that day, Admiral Jae-won Park stood before the assembled crew of the Dreadnought Thunder. 5,000 officers and crew members listened as he explained their mission. The Vexari believed humans were weak and divided, he told them. They thought we would make good slaves or subjects. When they attacked New Busan, they expected to see us beg for peace. His voice hardened. Instead, they awakened a giant. He activated the ship's main display, showing the other 6 dreadnoughts, moving into position around Jupiter. Each of these vessels carries enough firepower to destroy a planet. The Thunder is the flagship under my command. The Avalanche will be commanded by Captain Do-yun. Hurricane by Captain Mirai. Earthquake, Tsunami, Inferno, and Tempest will form our attack formation. A young officer raised her hand. Admiral, is it true these ships have been built in secret for decades? Jae-won nodded. After we detected the first alien transmissions, Earth's nations realized we needed to be prepared. While our public technology advanced normally, our best minds worked in secret on the Dreadnought program. We hoped never to need them. That evening, as the fleet prepared to depart the solar system, Jae-won stood in his private quarters looking at a photograph of his daughter Minji. Next to it sat a small jar containing soil from New Busan colony. His communication screen lit up with an incoming message from Earth Command. Another Vexari diplomatic ship was requesting permission to enter the solar system. They claimed to bring a message directly from the Vexari High Council. "Let them come," Jae-won instructed. "But the time for talk is ending." He turned to the window, watching as the massive engines of the 7 dreadnoughts glowed to life, their light outshining Jupiter's moons. Soon the galaxy would learn what happened when humanity was pushed too far. The Vexari had attacked a single human colony, thinking themselves superior. In response, humanity had revealed weapons that could end civilizations. The sleeping giant was not just awake, it was angry. Captain Do-hyun stood on the command bridge of Dreadnought Avalanche as it emerged from jump space near Proxima Centauri. The ship's massive hull, 16 kilometers long, cast a shadow across the stars. This would be humanity's first military strike against the Vexari. "Stealth systems functioning at optimal levels," reported Officer Jimin at the tactical station. "The Vexari defense fleet doesn't see us yet." Do-hyun nodded, his expression calm despite the weight of what they were about to do. "Show me their positions." The main display lit up, revealing 50 Vexari warships in defensive formation around their primary outpost in the system. The aliens had conquered this star system centuries ago, building massive orbital stations to extract resources. "They've reinforced their fleet," noted his second-in-command, Commander Yoonji. "They expected us to attack here, but they didn't expect a ship this size," Do-hyun replied. He touched his console, opening a channel to all decks. "All personnel prepare for combat. Weapon batteries to full power. Deploy gravity distortion fields." The Avalanche hummed as its systems activated. Unlike conventional weapons, the dreadnoughts used gravity itself as their primary armament, creating localized distortions that could tear ships apart or crush them into nothingness. "Disabling stealth systems in 3, 2, 1, Jimin announced. Suddenly, alarms blared across the Vexari fleet as the massive human vessel appeared on their sensors. Do-hyun watched their panic with cold satisfaction as the enemy ships scrambled to form an attack pattern. "They're charging weapons," Yoonji reported. "Too late," Do-hyun said quietly. "Activate primary gravity lance. Target their command vessel." The front of the Avalanche opened like a blooming flower, revealing a massive array that began to glow with blue energy. A moment later, an invisible force shot forward, connecting with the Vexari flagship. The alien vessel didn't explode. Instead, it imploded, crushed by forces that bent space itself. "Secondary batteries wide dispersal," ordered Do-hyun. The remaining Vexari ships found themselves caught in localized gravity wells. Some were pulled apart, others crashed into each other as their engines fought hopelessly against forces they couldn't counter. In less than 5 minutes, 30 ships had been destroyed. "The remaining vessels are retreating," Jimin reported with awe in his voice. "They're jumping out of the system." Do-hyun nodded. "Let them go. They'll spread the word about what happened here." As the bridge crew celebrated their victory, Communications Officer Taiho called out, "Captain, we're receiving multiple transmissions from the surface of the second planet." "Put them through," Do-hyun ordered. The screen filled with images of different alien species, none of them Vexari. Their messages overlapped but carried the same meaning. "Thank you for freeing us." The Vexari weren't alone here, Yoonji realized. These must be species they conquered. "They've been using slave labor," Taiho confirmed as he analyzed the incoming data. "Mining operations, factories, agricultural processing, all using forced labor from at least 7 different species." Do-hyun's expression darkened. This wasn't just about avenging New Busan anymore. The Vexari Collective was an empire built on subjugation. "Captain," called the science officer, "we've recovered something from the debris field. It appears to be a data core from the Vexari command ship. Hours later, Do-hyun stared at the translated information from the data core. His hands tightened into fists as he read the truth about the attack on New Busan Colony. It wasn't a rogue faction, he told his senior officers. The attack was deliberately planned by the Vexari High Command. They wanted to test our response capabilities before launching a full invasion. There's more, added Science Officer Yuna. They've done this before. They identify promising species, provoke them to gauge their military strength, then either conquer them or destroy them completely. Do-hyun activated the communication array. Connect me to Admiral Park on the Thunder. When Jae-won's face appeared on screen, Do-hyun shared what they had discovered. The Admiral listened silently, his expression growing harder with each detail. So, the diplomatic attempts were never sincere, Jae-won finally said. No, sir, they were gathering intelligence while preparing for a full invasion of our solar system. Jae-won was quiet for a moment before making his decision. Implement protocol, Omega, immediately. All dreadnoughts will maintain complete communication blackout as we advance into Vexari space. No warnings, no diplomacy. Understood, Admiral, Do-hyun acknowledged. As the communication ended, Do-hyun looked around at his crew. Many had friends or family who died at New Busan. Now they knew it had been just the first step in a planned extinction of their species. Set course for the Vexari Central Systems, he ordered. The Dreadnought fleet moves as one now. Throughout the bridge, crew members returned to their stations with renewed purpose. The first engagement was over, and humanity had revealed just a fraction of its true power. The real war was just beginning. Admiral Jae-won Park stood motionless on the command bridge of Dreadnought Thunder as the massive fleet approached the Vexari home system. 3 weeks had passed since the first engagement at Proxima Centauri. 3 weeks of silence as the 7 human vessels moved through space like wrathful gods, destroying all Vexari military installations they encountered. Sir, we've reached the outer boundary of their home system, reported Navigator Subin. All 7 dreadnoughts in attack. Formation, Jae-won nodded. The display showed their target. A beautiful blue-green world surrounded by defensive platforms and hundreds of warships. The heart of the Vexari collective. Life signs? He asked. Science Officer Yuna checked her readings. Approximately 12 billion Vexari on the planet, sir, plus another billion on orbital habitats. Jae-won felt the weight of those numbers. New Busan Colony had held 10,000 humans. The math of vengeance would demand the extinction of an entire civilization. Admiral, called Communications Officer Hyunjin. We're receiving a broadcast on all frequencies. It's being transmitted to all 7 dreadnoughts simultaneously. Put it through, Jae-won ordered. The main screen activated, showing a Vexari, unlike any they had seen before. Its skin was pale white with intricate patterns that seemed to glow from within. When it spoke, its voice carried a depth of age that surprised them. This is High Commander Vexatur of the Vexari Collective, it began. To the human fleet approaching our homeworld, we plead for mercy. Murmurs spread across the bridge. This was not the arrogant species they had expected to face. Your strength has proven greater than we could have imagined, Vexatur continued. We offer unconditional surrender. Our fleet will stand down. Our weapons will be silenced. Please spare our people. Jae-won studied the alien's face, searching for deception. Why should we believe you? Your kind attacked us without provocation and planned our extinction. Because I must tell you the truth that our people have hidden for millennia, replied Vexatur. We are not the architects of our empire's cruelty. We are ourselves servants to entities we call the architects. The screen split to show ancient Vexari historical records. Massive shadow creatures descending from space, enslaving their minds, reshaping their civilization into conquerors. For 5,000 years, our species has been controlled by these beings. They exist partly in another dimension, attaching themselves to our leaders, directing our expansion. The attack on your colony was their command, not our choice. Yunha approached Jae-won cautiously. Sir, deep space sensors are detecting something unusual. Beyond the edge of this system. Show me, he ordered. A secondary display activated, showing readings from the most distant Dreadnought. Something massive was moving at the edge of their sensor range, not a ship or natural phenomenon, but a distortion in space itself. Whatever it is, Una whispered. It's larger than a star system. Jaewon turned back to the Vexari leader. Is this another trick? Another weapon you hope to use against us? Fear flashed across Vex Tour's features. You can detect them? Then it's worse than we feared. The architects are coming themselves, not just their influence. They've never had to reveal their physical forms before. Why would they come now? Jaewon demanded. Because of you, Vexatur replied simply. Humans are the first species in our recorded history to resist their control. Your dreadnoughts, they operate on principles the architects cannot easily counter. You've become a threat not just to us, but to them. Silence fell across the command bridge as the implications sank in. Their vengeance against the Vexari suddenly seemed small compared to what might be approaching. Sir? Hyunjin called out. We're receiving transmissions from the liberated species and systems we passed through. They're all reporting the same thing. Massive distortions approaching from deep space. Jaewon stared at the tactical display, his mind racing. The 7 dreadnoughts had been built to destroy the Vexari, not to face some cosmic horror beyond human understanding. If what you say is true, Jaewon finally said to Vextur, then prove it. Have your ship stand down immediately. It is already done, the Vexari leader replied. As if to confirm this, the defensive platforms around the planet began powering down. Jaewon turned to his senior officers. Verify their compliance, and get me secure channels to all Dreadnought captains and Earth Command. As the bridge crew rushed to follow his orders, Jaewon moved to the observation window and stared out at the Vexari homeworld. He had come here seeking justice for his daughter and the others lost at New Busan. Instead, he found a species claiming to be as much victims as humans were. And beyond the edges of known space, something was coming that terrified even those who had once thought themselves the galaxy's masters. What would you have done, Minji? He whispered to himself, thinking of his daughter. As a scientist, would she have believed the Vexari's plea? Would she have chosen mercy over vengeance? The answer would determine the fate of 2 civilizations. The 7 dreadnoughts formed a defensive line at the edge of the Vexari home system, their massive hulls gleaming in the light of distant stars. For 3 days, Admiral Jaewon Park had studied the data on the approaching threat while Earth's leaders debated their response. The architects are less than 2 weeks from reaching this system, Science Officer Una reported, pointing to the holographic display. Their size is difficult to comprehend. Each one appears larger than a gas giant. Jaewon nodded grimly. And we're certain they're hostile? The Vexari historical records are clear, she replied. Every civilization that resisted their control was completely wiped out. Over 50 species in the last 10,000 years. The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity had prepared for war against the Vexari, not against godlike entities that had dominated the galaxy for millennia. Admiral, called Communications Officer Hyunjin, the Vexari High Commander is requesting permission to come aboard. Jaewon hesitated only briefly. Grant permission. Escort him to the conference room. High Commander Vex's Tour entered the human vessel with obvious awe, his pale skin reflecting the lights of the corridor. 2 Vexari scientists followed him carrying ancient data cores. Your ships are remarkable, Vextor said as he settled into the specially designed chair. In all our history, we've never encountered technology like yours. We built them out. Of necessity, Jaewon replied coldly. After we detected your transmissions. Not our transmissions, Vextor corrected. Theirs. The architects have been using our communication networks for centuries. What you detected was their signal pattern. The Vexari scientists activated the data cores, projecting images of shadow-like beings attaching themselves to Vexari brains. They cannot fully exist in our dimension, one scientist explained. They need hosts to interact with our reality. For 5,000 years, they've used our species as their hands and eyes. The attack on New Busan was their decision, Vextor added. They feared humans because your minds are different, resistant to their influence. Jaewon's expression remained hard. 10,000 humans died at New Busan, my daughter among them. I know, Vexatur said quietly, and I cannot undo that crime. But now we face extinction together. The meeting lasted hours as they shared information. The architects had created the Vexari Empire as a tool, using them to conquer and study other species. When humans demonstrated unexpected resistance, the architects had ordered the attack to test human capabilities. The Dreadnought's technology, particularly their gravity manipulation systems, had proven so alarming that the architects were now coming themselves. Later, Jaewon stood alone in his quarters, looking at Minji's photograph. His daughter had been a scientist, always seeking understanding rather than conflict. "What would you do?" he whispered to her image. The next day, Jaewon called a meeting with all Dreadnought captains. Captain Do-yeon of the Avalanche spoke first. "We should finish what we started," he argued. "Destroy the Vexari homeworld as planned, then use all our resources to fight these architects." "The Vexari were victims too," countered Captain Mirai of the Hurricane. "We need allies, not more enemies." Jaewon listened to the debate, then made his decision. "Humanity's strength has never been just our weapons," he said. "It's our capacity to make difficult choices." 1 week later, a combined fleet of human dreadnoughts and Vexari warships stood ready at the system's edge. The architects' approach had accelerated, massive distortions in space that defied conventional physics. Aboard the Thunder, Jaewon and Vextur stood side by side on the command bridge. "There's something I haven't told you," Jaewon said. "The true power of the dreadnoughts isn't their weapons. It's what powers them." He activated a secured terminal, revealing images of vast chambers deep within each ship where thousands of human volunteers lay in special tanks, their minds connected directly to the ship's systems. We discovered that the human consciousness, when linked properly with technology, creates a field the architects cannot penetrate. Each dreadnought is powered by the combined mental energy of volunteers who agreed to this merger. Vexatur's skin paled further. "Your people joined with machines willingly?" "It's temporary for most," Jaewon explained. "But yes, the human mind cannot be controlled by the architects because we choose our own path, even if that means becoming something new." As the first massive shadows appeared at the edge of the system, Jaewon opened a channel to all ships, human and Vexari alike. "Today we face an enemy that has dominated this galaxy through fear and control. They believed all life forms could be subjugated or destroyed. They were wrong." He looked at the photograph of Minji he had placed on his console. "Humanity's choice is not vengeance but protection, not just for ourselves but for all life that chooses freedom." The 7 dreadnoughts moved forward, their hulls glowing with blue energy as the human minds within them united in purpose. Behind them, the Vexari ships followed, former enemies now standing together against a common threat. And for the first time in 50,000 years, the architects faced something they had never encountered before, a species that had prepared not just to fight, but to defend even those who had once been their enemies.